Hey everyone, my name is Reagan, and I did my research project on urban food deserts. So, my specific research question was, what are the characteristics of food deserts and what can be done to end them? The United States Department of Agriculture classifies a food desert as a census tract with at least 500 people or at least 33% of the residents living more than a mile away from a grocery store. For rural food deserts, one has to be more than 10 miles from a grocery store. But for the sake of this project, I'm just going to be discussing urban food deserts. Okay, so exactly does that definition mean? In short, it basically means that people in food deserts have extremely low access to affordable and nutritious foods. So how big of a problem is this? According to census data, about 23.5 million Americans live in food deserts. This is about 8% of the country's total population. So, like many things we've learned in this class, specific phenomenons and social problems tend to be spatially concentrated. Through my research, I found that low-income areas have 50% fewer supermarkets than wealthier areas. Additionally, white neighborhoods have 4 times more supermarkets than areas of color, specifically black neighborhoods. So, why do food deserts exist? Some scholars use the term supermarket redlining to describe why some areas have more food access to healthy and affordable food than others. This term is, of course, a sort of spin-off on the widely used term redlining, which refers to the practice of banks refusing to give loans to people living in certain geographic areas, specifically inner-city and minority neighborhoods. So besides a term used to describe a discriminatory practice, scholars have said that supermarket redlining exists because urban areas specifically have a high cost of land, labor, and utilities. And thus, from a business perspective, they think they're less likely to make money. Many people also assume that people in poor areas are less likely to want to buy certain foods, specifically produce. Finally, businesses also use the excuse of fear of crime in urban areas to detract them from setting up grocery stores in these areas. You could also look at the formation of food deserts from a political economy perspective, whereby the social elite of the city, usually the white and the wealthy people, determine the construction of space and where supermarkets should go. So through this logic, it would make sense that poorer people and more ethnic minorities would be the ones stuck in food deserts. In addition to a lack of access to nutritious food, food deserts are also what some scholars call food swamps. This concept is somewhat paradoxical because the term food desert creates an image of a lack of food, but food swamps are places that have an abundance of unhealthy food. In fact, some studies have shown that poorer neighborhoods have 3 times as many places to purchase and consume alcohol than wealthier neighborhoods. And it has been shown that fast food joints are more likely to locate in areas with a high concentration of ethnic minorities. So with all the unhealthy options and none of the healthy options, it's understandable why people in food deserts have bad health outcomes. I found this cartoon online and I thought it did a pretty good job of illustrating this kind of food paradox. As you can see, there are 3 very large individuals crawling in a desert with junk food all around them. The guy in the middle is saying, "I think I see affordable, healthy food on the horizon." And the guy on the top right is saying, "It's just a mirage." There's also a cactus right here in the background that has a food desert sign posted to it. There's also the concept of deprivation amplification. One of my articles summarized the concept really well. They said, area-level deprivation compounds individual disadvantage. This means that people's negative environment makes their individual life outcomes worse. So for residents of food deserts, the area of food deprivation will make their individual health worse, probably having negative impacts on their brain development and mental health, and a lack of supermarkets is also bad for their economy. So what can we do to end food deserts? From a local and community level, neighborhoods can support community gardens and urban agriculture, like on the picture on the right. There's also this thing called mobile markets. It's basically what it sounds like. It's a supermarket on wheels, like the picture on the right. So although these are great ideas and could work well for individual communities, systemic and institutional changes need to be enacted to really put an end to food deserts. Some specific action could be to change zoning policies so it would be easier for supermarkets to build in dense urban areas, and maybe even limit the number of fast food joints every couple of miles. The government could also create subsidies for healthy food, which would hopefully cause more stores to sell fresh produce. Finally, it would be hugely beneficial if our government improved public transportation, especially between food deserts and supermarkets. Alright guys, that was my project on urban food deserts. Thank you so much for watching.